There's a hat now, gentlemen.
Who is this person?
That's Madame de Barra.
No formal training. Certainly nothing to justify her presence here.
Sabine, the character that I play in Little Chaos, she's a very, very strong woman, and she is a woman in a man's world, and I really admire that, and I think a lot of women do, particularly at that time, you know, 17th century France, when that women didn't work. I mean, they absolutely did not. But she lived alone, she had to survive alone, and as she says in the film, gardening was something that she knew how to do for money. But of course, it is a wonderful love story. You know, it's a love story set against beautiful gardens as a backdrop. And I loved playing her. I loved playing a British person again, which is something I haven't done for a while. I loved working with Alan Rickman again, who I had worked with 20 years ago. Yes, I really am that old, on Sense and Sensibility. And to work with him in this capacity, both as an actor and as a director, was really, really very special. And we, all of us, to be honest, did have really quite a lovely time making the film.
And I imagine you had to watch a lot of Alan Titchmarsh and Ground Force to kind of do your research.
Well, I'm no stranger to getting my hands dirty. No, I certainly did have to do a little bit of homework in terms of the actual nuts and bolts of gardening specifically. But to be honest with you, because Sabine she has such a big and bold brain, you know, and she creates half of the Rockwork Grove, the famous Rockwork Grove, which does exist, of course, in the Gardens of Versailles. And it's immense and bohemian and quite wacky and creative and different what she does. She had this very avant-garde style, which is really really inspiring to all of the people around her, and she does ultimately win them all over because they're very suspicious in the beginning. And so to me the focus was really getting under the skin of her and how she thought and how she functioned. And to be honest, as a woman, she in her past had gone through quite a hard time, and she does have some grief, which as an audience member you learn about in the latter stages of the film, and she hides all of that well. You know, she isn't a woman who carries a terrible grief or sort of depression with her at all. She's really very joyful, and she has a great positivity about her, and so for me that was really the biggest focus, and I loved it. I really did love playing her.
I must apologise for any insult that I may have unwittingly offered you.
Perhaps, madame, when you have been in the public eye and available for ridicule for as long as my family has, you will think again about this conversation.
Near the beginning, obviously, she goes for the job and it doesn't go so well, and then it all turns around. Have you had instances like that where you've been for an audition and you thought that went terribly, and then it all came good in the end?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I think I remember auditioning for Heavenly Creatures, which was the first film that I ever did when I was 17, and I remember auditioning here in London, and I was put on tape and I had to learn 2 scenes, and I was so nervous. I'd never auditioned for a film before, and I was just so nervous, and I just thought it had gone terribly. I really thought, well, I've blown that then. You know, that's it. I'm not going to have a career in film at all. And then I was amazed when I got a recall and went back, and then they called me back again. And I think they called me back. It was something pretty brutal, like 4 times, which is quite a lot. And then I think I had to wait for another month, and then I got the part. And I still remember the phone call. I still remember the feeling that I had, even when I heard the phone ring, because, you know, as an actor, when you're auditioning, you are waiting for that phone to ring. You fully are. It's your only focus. And I remember hearing the phone ring, and I don't know, there was something different about how the phone rang, which of course there wasn't, but in my mind there was. And it was my agent at the time saying, well done, you clever girl, you got the part. I still kind of, it gives me a little bumpety bump when I think about it.
And very quickly, just before I go, the Palace of Versailles is probably one of the most beautiful places I've seen. But for you, you've travelled so many places in the world. Where would you say is the most beautiful place that you've been to?
It probably is, I mean, I would have to say, in the top 5, the Palace of Versailles is certainly up there. But we climbed a summit, the highest summit in Iceland, about 2 years ago, and that was pretty spectacular. And New Zealand, everything about New Zealand.
Patience, care, and a little warmth from the sun are our best hope.